tell me when we are. Morning, folks. Welcome back to the Blacksmith Shop. Our field trip season is kind of wrapped up, and so we are able to get back to our Facebook Lives. Today, I'm working on something we haven't done here before, kind of, sort of. I made one back at Terr-Fair just to see how it would work, and Miss Lauren Anderson is our beekeeper. She has done a great job of handling our hives and other things, and so I made her a hive tool. Hive tools have existed and haven't really changed much over the course of their production, so it's historic and yet still modern. And so I was really excited to see just how it works. So it's a pretty easy thing to explain. For starters, you got to find the right steel. I did need to find a piece of carbon steel. It needs to be strong enough, like tools, to be able to make a slight edge, be able to pry and not bend or break. I have some thinner models here. This is too thin and it's mild. It'll just bend, just me trying. But I use that as my template. Get the right shape, forge it out. A couple things I need to do. There's an edge here, make a little hook for prying, and a hole in the center for pulling nails. So today I'm working on getting that finished, and it has to be the right steel. We talk about this all the time. You need the right materials for whatever you're going to make. Tool steel is not the same as just regular mild steel. Tool steel is not the same as high carbon steel. It has levels of carbon to it. That's why it doesn't break and last longer and longer. So I have a piece of carbon steel. I'm not actually sure what it is. I strength tested it and saw if it would break or anything like that, like carbon steels do, and it did. It didn't do great, so it didn't have a lot of carbon in it, but it's what I needed. So right now on camera, I'm going to try and work on that curl, and we'll see how time allows. I may turn it around and work on the edge on the square. But after sending one off to Miss Lauren, she said that it worked perfectly. Can you make me some more? Great. It was a trial. It was I want to see if I can make one. Tell me how it did. And she reported back that it did great. So, come in. I'm going half on the anvil because I need a little bit of a dip down. Almost the same process as when we're making nails. Making the shoulder, and I'll thin this out. And start stretching that out as I go.
I don't ever release it. There we go.
So as I stretch that out, now I need to get it hot again, but I'll curl that back around. We are getting slowly into Arkansas summer. We're supposed to reach up into the 90s today, and so you'll notice I'm not in historic garb. I'm wearing a shirt I don't mind sweating in. But we are so excited to be back out here with our normal crew. All the guys out. We got a cool show and tell. All right, stretch this back out some more. The only thing I had to change from the other one, per her request, was she said that that was just a little too wide, and that's okay. I was able to take it and use a file on it and shrink it down to how she wanted it, and she said after that it worked perfect. So we'll try this again as well, and if she likes it, we're all set. Do a little straightening. Smoothing. You notice it's not hot anymore, so I'm just reading a couple of those anvil marks. I'll file that to a better point because you want it to be able to get in there. It doesn't have to be too sharp, but you want to be able to get in the hive. So the idea, if I can do this with tongs, is to reach down into the hive, pry it open, almost like a cantaloupe, to get those sleeves to come up. I'm going to let that cool for just a minute. Where I want the end I was just working on to cool so I can put the bevels, the edge, sharp on the sharp end. But while that's cooling and changing heats, let's go over to our show and tell. We got a wide range from Robert making clay flutes, or his attempt at, a couple of historic reproductions of cannons that were found at I believe an estate sale or an antique shop, and trying to figure out how to fix them because they are functional. So some repair jobs have been started doing from our guys. It'll be really cool to get that one to actual work again. And so that was a part of our discussion.
How's that going?
Jimmy Worden has finished a authentic Bowie #1 copy. So walnut scales, true silver for the wraparound and on the scales and on the butt cap here. If you've ever come to the museum, you've probably either seen or tried to see our Bowie #1 made by James Black, and this is a copy. A lot of our guys are students. They call themselves students of James Black because they make copies very similar to his work. Thing to point out, you notice that handle cocks back, something we don't always talk about, but that's important. You don't hold it like this like a pirate. You hold it like that to make a straight edge down the arm. Blade edge up. Of course, we've got a couple of beautiful pieces right here from John Miller. Love that dog bone and these lines back here in the back. That's poured pewter around the base. Something little teeny tiny detail you might miss is the little hook you put in there at the blade edge near the ricasso. This one made for some great discussion. This is another one from John Miller, but notice how much that handle curves. So where does that tang go to? How far back? It says it comes all the way back to here. Sorry for the horn, guys. Don't know what's going on over there. Construction on the highway. But it goes all the way back here, so it gives you plenty of strength in this knife. Say again? Oh, the butt cap, absolutely. Hand carved, all that, screwed into place so it's not going anywhere. Now, before I had settled on the thought of a Hive-tool today, I was going to make steak turners. Very simple and easy tool. You just hook a piece of meat and flip it over. This is an easy one to do on camera. Watch next week. I'll probably do it next week. But put that out there as my example piece. And here's the latest competition cutter from Shank Knives. He's my cameraman, so make sure you comment and say hi, Shane. But Shank Knives competition cutter. He's prepping. Might even get to use this June 17th. Don't forget that date, June 17th. It's going to be the knife gallery opening after a major overhaul. It is going to be absolutely amazing. June 17th is the grand opening of the Historic Arkansas Museum Knife Gallery. So if you want to see the real Bowie #1, not that that's imaginary, but the James Black Bowie #1 and several other Arkansas made knives, June 17th is going to be a huge day. Get here early because we're going to have a cutting competition. Watch how I use this knife. We're going to have stuff for the kids. We're going to have the gallery opening, speeches from master bladesmiths. Not a day you want to miss. All right, now I think maybe my Hive-tool has cooled off enough. I can turn it around and hit the end I want. You notice I did not quench it in water. I needed it to cool, right?
Right.
Because of the material I'm working with. High carbon steels. If you watch any sort of blade shows or anything like that, you might know high carbon you do not want to quench in water because it can cause it to crack, it can cause major stresses, it cools the steel too fast. That's why a lot of knife makers, when they quench their knife, will quench in oil. This is knife steel. I don't believe it is. It's just got a little carbon to it. But if this is something of that type of steel, I don't want to shove it in the water because then it's going to break. Instead, if I get these edges how I want them, at the end of the video, I'm going to dump it in our oil quench tank. So, let's see. This step is relatively easy. Feed it the end I want, and I need these two sides to have an edge. So I just bring them up here, and this is not sharp. This is not going to cut paper or anything like that. It's almost a chisel point. It comes down into a point to be able to pry and get into the wooden hive boxes. Hammer that down into an edge over here. Gonna flip it around just a little bit, smooth that out as it's cooling. Much better, much better, much better. Notice I'm not hitting hard, I'm just smoothing it out. There's another factor of carbon steels. If you hit them while they're cold, they can break. So I'm just smoothing with those gentle taps. Now I'll get the other side. And oh no, I can't quitch on camera. See, it's all part of the process. I need to be able to punch the hole in the middle for the nail to be pulled. So sorry, we're gonna have to quitch this one off camera. But come back for one of our special events. Come up for a Thursday, or be here June 17th, and we'll be out here in the shop working, but we'll also be doing all of the other special events. So let me put that edge on, and we'll call it a day for the Facebook Live. Now, how am I supposed to get to that? I'm gonna bring it over here to this far end of the anvil. As long as my fingers stay clear of that horn. See that nice taper there going down to the edge. Bring it over here to the other side so I can hit this direction. All I need to do is a little bit of straightening and maybe just a little bit more on this side, but we're going to do that off camera. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you have any comments, questions, put them in the comments. I always check in the afternoon to see if anybody commented on these posts so I can answer any questions you have. From the Historic Arkansas Museum, I'm Casey Marshall. Thanks for coming to see us.